Have you ever struggled to present a data in a way that truly captures attention? Numbers can be actually overwhelming, but with the right visuals, they can tell a powerful story. Welcome to the Stealing Insight YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about a fascinating topic that is titled PowerPoint for Data Presentation, Visualizing Numbers Effectively. So we'll be rolling down directly into our class. Now we're dealing with PowerPoint today. And one of the things that is very important is that we need to know that data visualization is key, and it is just conversion of raw numbers to visually appealing format. Now, there are several things that we're going to be utilizing in this class, and it ranges from the charts and the graphs that are involved in PowerPoint. So what we are saying in essence today is that the first thing is to access the chart in Microsoft PowerPoint. You come to Insert. Once you get to Insert, you come to the chart. When you get to the chart, there are several things you can pick from the chart, and they range from having the column, which is like the horizontal bar chart, the line graph, the pie chart, the bar chart, which is the slant one, then the aerial chart, the scattered graph, the stock graph, the surface chart, and the likes. And each of these has their own peculiar uses in terms of whether you're dealing with relationship between numbers and the likes. So the one we want to quickly make use of from this moment is, we'll start from the beginning, which is the column chart. By the time you click on the column chart and you click on OK here, now what it brings out is the chart that you're having. Now, one thing that is very important is that you can decide to change the layout of the chart by coming here, or you can change the design of the chart, the way it looks, by coming to any of these. You can as well decide to change the color by changing it severally in this manner, and you can come to format to determine the way the feel and the outlook will be. However, now moving back to the chart, if you click on this chart box, there are other options that can be picked under this chart. Now this column is for 2D chart, and as a result it's different from the bar chart, whereby you have other options like the 3D, like this is a 3D option, 3D clustered bar chart, and this is another 3D option, this is another 3D option. On the column chart, we're having the 3D option here, unlike the bar chart, like with bar chart that is slant. So the column chart, I want the 3D instead of the 2D. The one we picked earlier was a 2D. This is a 2D, meaning having 2 dimension. This 3D is what I prefer, and this is what I'm going to be getting. Now, in order to move forward on the bar chart, you will realize that immediately we pop up the chart, it gave us an Excel column. This Excel sheet, you can just pick up your data and paste there in order to replace all of the things that you have in here. And let me just use 2 out of this for you to see the exact way it's going to be presented. Now, by the time I click on this and I paste it here, you realize that it has actually changed the data from what it was to what we have now. So this is the data that we are having now on the PowerPoint. And on the PowerPoint, this is just a chart that represents the list of things that are being sold. Now, it's talked about the sales and the units sold. So the units sold, according to the legend, is actually showing us the orange icon based on the units sold. But in terms of the amount of sales, you can see how high it is. Now, this chart, we can enhance it more by clicking on this plus sign, and it gives us other option here in which you can set the axis title. Now this, you can tell us the amount of sales and units sold. Now, under this place, it tells us the categories of items that we're actually selling. Furthermore, you can as well decide to increase, I'm giving it the data label for us to know the specific number for comparative analysis. Having a glance of this, it will make you realize that you can make some decisions with respect to this as swift as possible compared to having the table which is currently underneath. When you compare having this table, when we pick up this table and this graph speaks more volume than the table which is down there. Now I'm having look at this table. In our previous classes we've actually discussed something in this light. The problem of statements in this presentation shows this, and you will realize that it's going to give low attention to the person that is being presented to having this table in this manner, because it's actually going to be difficult to use about a minute, 3 seconds, or too many thereabout while explaining this slide to comprehend and to quickly figure out what it's been done. However, it can be done better in a manner like this. So I'm going to be deleting this in order for us to be able to appreciate what we're talking about here. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is just to bring about something similar to what we've done. So we're going to be inserting the graph, and based on what we are talking about in that graph, we're talking about, there are two things. We are talking about the commercial loan to agricultural system, commercial bank loans to agricultural sector, and total commercial bank loans generally. We want to compare the rates at which they are being given loan. So what I'm saying in essence is, if we're going to be using our bar chart just for us to move on in that direction, you're going to be seeing a comparative analysis of something of this nature. And with these, I can just shrink this to give me the the size of what will be covered in this place. So now this graph, now you can see this is replacing the previous thing that we have. So by the time I'm going to be copying the details that is here down to the Excel sheet that auto populates while working with this Excel, you realize that immediately I'm having this figure. And this explicitly shows that when we see from at a glance, we can critically tell that commercial bank loans to agricultural sector, which is the blue, is nothing compared to the total commercial bank loans when compared in billions. So just at a glance, we already have understanding of what this is all about. This graph can also be replicated in another manner in such a way that instead of having the bar chart, and we can also increase all other things that we spoke about here, but instead of having this bar chart, I want to make it to be something of to be different from this. Instead of having the bar chart, let's look for a way to do the relationship in terms of the line graph. So checking the relationship between these two parameters, we can as well see and tell. So once I paste this as well, just the way we've done in the previous time, with these we can easily tell just the way it was the other time. So we can easily tell with this that the graph that we are having is showing a relationship between the commercial loans and the agricultural loans. Now the commercial loans to agricultural sector, you can see the way it's about parallel to the ground of the graph. And at a glance, we can easily note and see the rate at which this is moving. It's moving at an exponential growth, while this is moving at about arithmetic growth, even lower than that measure of consistency. So, and another important thing that we can easily quickly go through is that we can do a data label of this. You see the data label shows the rate of increment, 1.2 billion compared to 478 billion. Now, by the time it gets to 2020, we're having 20 billion loan to generally that was given, and we're having 1 billion given to the agricultural sector, showing how the commercial banks have actually given less attention to agricultural loans. We can include the axis, we can include the data table, and if we so wish, we can also include this, the error bar, the grid line. We can decide to remove the grid line. We can even input the grid line. And if we so wish to put the grid line, we can decide to enhance whatever thing we're having there, because we can have both horizontal and vertical, and we can decide to eliminate this, and we can even use minor graph just like this, though this is not making the graph to look more okay. And even the chart title, you can decide to have it at any position you want, whether it is a center overlay, and you also have more options that you can select from in order to decide where you want the graph to be on your PowerPoint. And you can just cancel the Excel sheet. It does not affect the graph that you've actually done, and you get your results, and that is just as swift as possible. So before we go, the last thing that we'll be talking about, just one of the charts all over again, which will be the pie chart. So we can just quickly have a pie chart here. We insert the shape. Now we're having a pie chart, and the pie chart, I want the 3D pie chart, and with that, click on OK. Now with this 3D pie chart, I can as well come to my data, pick up the data, and do a comparative analysis of what is being treated here. So I want to use this for the pie chart. Now, by the time I'm pasting this for the pie chart, you realize that the pie chart has actually been drawn out, but it's not giving us the full details of what we want. With these, I can do a data label. It's showing me each of the numbers, and I can enhance this data label by having best fit, or even I can centralize each of the numbers, and I can decide to create more option, but I'll prefer the best fit, and to create more option around that, more option in terms of size and alignment. So furthermore, this can also tell us the kind of style and colors that we want for our bar chart. You can decide to choose any of these. So you realize having something of this nature, you can see how beautiful it is. But if you so wish, we can also decide to change the color format if you want it to be clearer. This is going to give you the feel you want, but considering the color of the slide, in order to bring about clarity, it's going to be better for you to use something that will be more bold. Or let's assume that you just want to change the slide color. You just want to change the slide color, and you're coming to the design, you're saying apply to selected slide, and with this you have a clearer view of what you're actually working on. So this just gives you the perfect feel of what we're talking about in terms of having detailed graphical visualization of your data instead of having a complicated one as the one we have shown over time. If you love this video, we would love you to give us a like, a thumbs up, Share with your friends and comment below on your favorite PowerPoint feature for data presentation in terms of the type of chart and graph that you utilize or you love more. Thank you for staying with us, and bye bye.